Good morning. Welcome to Leveraging Digital Media Marketing to Grow Your Business, and thank you for joining us. My name is Marnie Nesher, President of the Business Journal News Network. This webinar is being presented by the Business Journal News Network and Digital Hyve. One quick item before we begin. If you have questions during the presentation, please type them into the question/chat box located on the right side at any time, and our presenter will be happy to answer them at the end of his presentation. Please let me introduce Jeff Knauss. Jeff is the co-founder of Digital Hyve, a full-service digital marketing agency with offices in Syracuse and Rochester, New York, with 30 full-time employees. Jeff graduated from SUNY Oswego in 2007 with a bachelor's degree in public relations and a concentration in marketing. He spent 8 years in broadcast television advertising before starting Digital Hyve with his business partner, Jake Tanner. Jeff is also very engaged with his community. Currently, Jeff serves on several local nonprofit and for-profit boards, which have become too numerous to name, or else we would not have time for this presentation. Welcome, Jeff, and let me turn the presentation over to you.
Thanks, Marnie. Thanks, everybody, for joining, and thank you to the Business Journal News Network for having me today, as well as Visual Technologies for hosting us in their lovely space and putting this on for us. Thanks so much. I'm going to get us started by just talking a little bit about, since part of this conversation is going to be about social media, I want to give you an introduction into Digital Hyve a little bit and tell you a story of how we started. So what do we do these days when we do something crazy like quit a 8-year television career to go off and start your own company with no money? We post it on social media, right? We take a picture and we say, hey, look at this cool thing that I'm doing. Well, that's what I decided to do. And this was the first picture that I ever posted on social media about our new business, Digital Hyve, when we did it. And this picture is like very often, so much like social media, where, you know, we post something on social media and we kind of make it look like ourselves. We're Ryan Gosling on a motorcycle, but in fact, we're really an awkward Asian guy on a scooter. And the joke doesn't land as well when I'm not standing in front of you, because I'm that Asian, really uncomfortable, awkward-looking guy in a red 1986 Honda Spree. So that is me, and that's what the reality was of this picture. I was actually taking a picture and saying, hey, look how awesome our new office is. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that I made the decision to go off and start my own company. But the reality of it was this was our real office. We were in 200 square feet on the 5th or 6th floor of a tall building on North Salina Street. We just were the two of us. We really, my business partner Jake and I started it in July of 2014. So actually this month is our 4th year of business. And as you can see, we had 2 desks, very messy desks somehow, and that's it. And so, you know, we really started just the two of us. But after about a year, we decided to get a little crazy, hire our first employee, and move into a slightly larger room. So that was our next office in Franklin Square. Then we got even crazier about a year later after that and decided to hire a few more people, move into a slightly larger room. And fast forward today, we are actually just moved in November of last year into our brand new office space. We have 7,500 square feet in Syracuse, and we have 1,500 square feet. Actually, we're moving offices in Rochester. We're currently, if you're familiar with the Rochester area, we're currently on Prince Street. We're moving into a really cool new building, which is a completely new build out, which is really exciting and right downtown in Rochester. So we're really excited for that. We have 9,000 square feet total. This is what Jake and I used to have to do. We work out of the Genesee Grand, just the two of us, because we didn't like being in the office. But now we've really kind of we've grown quite a bit. We are now up to 30 full-time employees, as Marty mentioned. We have a lot of fun. We do fun things like Ugly Christmas. It's not a very flattering picture of the crew, but I love it anyway. And this was actually when we won Center State CEO's Business of the Year. And we've been very fortunate. This was in 2017, winning Business of the Year for under 50 employees. We were very honored for that award. And so just to talk a little bit about where we are today, We are a Google Premier Partner, which is the highest level of partnership you can have with Google. We have a bunch of certifications. We won Best Places to Work from the Business Journal News Network in 2017, but also this year. So we're super excited for that. One of my favorite awards because it really reflects our culture that we've built. We have a really fun culture with some really smart, talented people. It's the only way we've been able to grow like we have. We won the Small Business Excellence Award last year. And actually, we were one of the first ad agencies in North America to be invited into Google Elevator Program, which is a business accelerator program through Google. We got business coach through Google, HR help. We go down for exclusive trainings down in New York City with Google, and we get access to all their beta programs before they launch out to the public. We get access to them. Our big news of the year is that we have been officially notified that we'll be in the Inc. 5000 list. It's the Inc. magazine is a business magazine, national publication that features the fastest 5,000 growing companies every year. Our dream was always to be in the top 10%, the top 500, because if you get in that list, you actually get featured in the magazine. So we're like, let's go for $4.99. But we have been very fortunate. We've grown at an incredible rate, and actually this year, we are projected to be in the top 100 fastest growing companies in the country. So if anybody ever says that you can't grow a business in upstate New York, we're here to prove them wrong. So we do a lot of we work with a lot of really wonderful partners, and that's really obviously how we've grown the business. Some of the clients we work with at Destiny USA, but we also work on all the pyramid properties around the country, all their malls and things like that. Syracuse University, Burn Dairy, Rochester Institute of Technology, Del Lago, Loretto is a wonderful client of ours who do all their recruitment marketing. Welch Allen, SRC, we also do the recruitment marketing for SRC for all their engineers, and they're growing tremendously as well. Saranac, Monroe Community College, City of Rochester, the Syracuse Airport. So a bunch of people, SUNY Oswego, my alma mater, I have to throw them out. Dinosaur, quick fill. So lots of folks that you probably are all familiar with. As Marty mentioned, I am on quite a few boards of directors at the moment, probably overextending myself a little bit, but I'm really proud to work with such wonderful organizations such as Loretto Foundation, Food Bank of Central New York, United Way, SUNY Oswego, Onondaga Community College, Spark Charge, which is a electronic vehicle battery pack company, recently featured in the Techstars program, Center State CEO, and Burn Dairy. I'm on all their boards, and really happy to be a part of that. And so I want to start today a little bit about just the landscape of how our habits are changing as consumers. Obviously, I'm going to talk about digital marketing, but I don't expect you to take a look too deeply at this screen. What I did was I kind of made a theme of where the fish are, right? And so actually, if you look at the way that people spend their time these days as compared to 2011, it honestly hasn't changed that much. And I want to put a preface out there. I spent 8 years in broadcast television. I have to say that I do believe all forms of advertising work. I'm not the kind of person that's like, well, I do digital marketing, and I think digital marketing is all that works. It's absolutely not true. I can tell you TV works, radio works, billboards work, newspaper works. I think that everything can work as long as you're allocating the appropriate amount of resources and time and investment into the different platforms and understand how to deliver that message to your audience whichever platform you're using. So if you look at 2011, we spent about an hour and 34 minutes a day with radio. In 2017, we spent about an hour and 24 minutes. So not a huge difference there. Same with television. 2011, we spent about 4 hours and 34 minutes with television. In 2017, 3 hours and 58 minutes. Newspapers, 2011, we spent about 28 minutes with newspapers. In 2017, spent about 15 minutes with newspapers, but I do want to mention that specialty newspapers and specialty magazines that kind of focus on more of a niche industry or category or specific, when you get more specific, you actually see the engagement rising with niche magazines and newspapers. So that's pretty exciting, such as, I know that I'm doing this for the Business Journal, but things like the Business Journal are growing in nature for engagement as well. So that's again, pretty common. However, as you can see in digital, with how when we're on our laptops, when we're checking our phones or using iPads, you can see that took a tremendous jump 62% from 2011. We spent about 3 hours and 40 minutes with digital. In 2017, we're spending close to 6 hours with digital, with a 62% increase, and it continues to grow. I would say that I am much higher than that at 5 hours and 56 minutes. And so obviously the consumer trend is shifting to always having our phones in front of our face, right? And so if you ever wonder how we spend, what we're doing digitally, I always find this graph really interesting to talk about. Every 60 seconds, 4.1 million videos are watched on YouTube. It's unbelievable. There's 900,000 logins on Facebook every single minute. There's 46,000 Instagram posts uploaded to Instagram. There are 1.8 million snaps made on Snapchat. There's $751,000 spent every 60 seconds online. And for all the single folks out there, 990,000 swipes on Tinder. So it's pretty amazing the way that we utilize the internet, these things that connect us. 3.5 million search queries every single minute is unbelievable on Google. And so what is digital marketing? Well, what we like to say is it's any way that you can bring a brand and a message and connect them to a very targeted audience online. So really, it's a pretty big umbrella, right? Because no matter if that person is checking their favorite social media, they're on their favorite website, they're checking their email, if they're connected to the internet, that's what we would consider digital marketing. And even though I spent eight years in TV, we decided to make a digital marketing agency just because if digital is changing so quickly. And I got a chance to see the attendee list, and I saw a lot of marketing folks, a lot of owners of businesses, and I can tell you, and you all know, there's new social media that pops up seemingly every day. The Google algorithm changes every day, and so in order to stay up with all these changes and be of the best service to our clients, we decided to not do media buying, video production, all those different things. What we really focused in on is digital marketing, and so digital marketing is everything from websites to search engine optimization, or SEO, as you may have heard that acronym, search engine marketing, social media advertising, display advertising, retargeting, video pre-roll, content marketing, email marketing, online PR, inbound marketing. This is just a small look at what digital marketing could encompass. These are all the different things that we do. And so what I like to say is there's really two benefits to digital marketing. One is that it's extremely targeted. Right? And so if you are using a broadcast medium, you're doing a great job of raising awareness and interest for your product. So let's just use an easy example might be a car dealership. So if you are an automotive dealership, you need to, you're doing your TV and radio, newspaper ads, talking about, your brand name. People are hearing your slogans, how huge you are, all these different things, right? But if you have a specific audience for a specific vehicle, let's say that the Nissan Rogue skews much more female, and we know that the best Rogue buyer is a 34-year-old woman that lives in Camillus. She has 2 kids. She likes dogs, and she has a household income of $75,000. Well, I might put that ad in Ellen, right? Because Ellen would be a great program to reach that type of audience. However, if you put the ad in Thursday at 4 o'clock in an Ellen program, that's great. But I might watch Ellen, right? And my 92-year-old grandfather might like Ellen, and my 4-year-old son might like Ellen. And so you're really broadcasting that message out to everyone to get that awareness. And what digital is, as comparison, is if I want to reach that 34-year-old woman living in Camillus, 2 kids, loves dogs, household income of $100,000 or whatever it is, currently drives a Ford, a Hyundai, and Toyota, and likes crossover SUVs, and has a FICO score of over 700, well, I can just talk to those people. And there might only be 5 people that reach that criteria, but the nice thing is I'm only spending enough money to reach those 5 people effectively rather than broadcasting it out to everyone that happens to be watching the program. And so you can be extremely targeted with digital so that your dollars are much more efficient because you're only talking to the best audience with a specific message. The other portion to that is that it's to the benefits of digital is that it's measurable, right? And so, you put a billboard up on the highway, and a lot of people see it. They're driving by, great message. Oh, I saw your billboard the other day. That's great. But, after that, they really can't take action on that billboard. They can't click on the billboard. They can go to your website. With digital, you can know how many people saw it, how many times they saw the ad, how many people clicked on the ad. But I want to put out there that the most important thing that you want to focus on when you're thinking about digital marketing is actually the results, right? And the results don't mean how many times has the ad been seen, how many times it's been clicked on. I don't really care. I could get you 1 million clicks to your website, but if no one does anything, if no one takes action after getting to your website, who cares? I don't care if I have 1 million people to my website if they're not actually converting, if they're not making, if I'm not making a sale, if they're not reaching out to me about my service, if I'm not applying to a job, if we're doing a recruitment campaign, you know, if they're not taking the action we want, then I don't care about those things. And so it's great to know all those analytics, right? To go into Google Analytics, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But if you can't tie it in from when they saw that ad all the way to them making a decision about your business or your service or whatever it is, really you're not understanding what your return on investment of that advertising is, right? Because people don't spend money on advertising for fun. They spend money just like we consider ourselves very much like an investment firm. And you give us money, and instead of investing in mutual funds, we invest it in Google ads, we invest in Facebook ads, we invest in all these different places. We're like a stockbroker to pick the best places that's going to get you the highest return on your investment. Because that's ultimately, at the end of the day, what matters. Not how many clicks you get, but what is your return on the investment that you've made into your advertising. And with digital, you can follow that whole track. You can understand once they click on the web, click on your link, they go to the website, where did they go? They go to the homepage and the About Us and they contact us and they fill out a form. We know we can find all that stuff out, and that's what really matters at the end of the day. I'm going to talk about social media to start us off in tactics. And a lot of people assume when I talk about social media, I'm talking about organic posting. What that means is I have a Facebook page, Jeff, and I post out there, hey, come check out, I'm Burn Dairy and I got a new ice cream flavor I want you to check out. That's great. But I'm going to talk a little bit about the changing landscape of social media. So first we're going to talk about usage. So a lot of people, the great narrative to talk about is that Facebook, is not, it's kind of going the way of the dinosaur, it's aging up, it's not going to be relevant very long. And to be honest, who knows what's going to happen in 5 years. But what I will say is that today, 68% of all US adults have a Facebook page, that use social media and use Facebook, right? 73% of US adults use YouTube. The closest social media to Facebook is Instagram at 35% of US adults. And guess who owns Instagram? Facebook. And so you can see that Facebook is still overwhelmingly the dominant social media used by the most people. So then you think, okay, well, what about age range? Young people aren't using Facebook. Well, in fact, you can actually see that about 80% of people between the ages of 18 and 24 are using Facebook, right? And so you can see all the breakouts of all the different age groups of how they use it. So other than YouTube, Facebook continues to have the widest range of people that are using it by age range, 50 plus, 30 to 49, 25 to 29, and 18 to 24. And Facebook even has more users than even Snapchat does, which is the second most popular amongst younger folks. This is a really cool survey talking about how much engagement people actually use with different social medias. So Facebook is used the most at several times a day. 51% of people that have a Facebook profile use it several times a day, whereas Snapchat, 49% use it several times a day. Instagram, 38% of times, Twitter, and then YouTube. And then the other graph I really love is called talking about reciprocity between social media. So if people that have an Instagram page, 91% of people that have an Instagram page have a Facebook page as well. 90% of people that have a Facebook page, have a Twitter account, have a Facebook page. But of all the people that have Facebook, only 32% have a Twitter profile. Only 47% have an Instagram profile. So you can kind of see the reciprocity between each of the social media. And so when we talk about organic social media posting, I want to talk about Facebook. As I've just shown, Facebook is still the dominant player in social media. And in January of this year, Mark Zuckerberg, founder of Facebook, came out and said, basically, one of our big focus for 2018 is make sure that time we spend on Facebook is time well spent. We built Facebook to have people stay connected. We're recently gotten feedback from our community that posts from businesses, brands, and media is crowding out personal moments that lead us to connect more with each other. Based on this, we're making a major change in how we build Facebook. As we roll this out, you'll see less public content from posts from businesses, brands, and media. And guess how we communicated this? He put a Facebook post out there. So this was public to everyone. basically saying that businesses will have almost no organic reach because they want people to connect with other people on social media. So what does that mean? Well, Larry Kim, founder of WordStream, came out with a great article talking about how currently the organic social reach right now is about 5%, meaning if you have 1,000 followers on your Facebook page, only about 50 people will actually get a chance to even see that post. Now, the more likes and comments and share that you get, the more opportunity they would actually have to see your post, but it's only about 5% organic reach, and so that's really, really low. This is a study done by Ogilvy, talking from August 13th to February when this kind of trend started. You can see how the organic reach was dropping significantly for all pages and pages with 500,000 likes and up. The Chicago Tribune actually did a great article sharing their organic post reach from January 2016 to March 17, and you can see at one point they were reaching almost 40,000 people with their organic posts. Now they're down to under 20,000. More than half of the organic post reach is going down, and that's going to continue. So what can you do to help with your organic social media postings, right, to get more engagement? Well, you should be authentic, right? So don't do clickbaity type of headlines. Don't do listicles, which is like top 10 ways to kill your whatever. You don't do these things that are kind of like be yourself on social media, be your business self. Relevancy. Make sure you understand your audience and deliver what they want. There's a ton of analytics within your Facebook profile that you can go and see. Everything from the city that people are coming to visit your Facebook page, the demographics, male, female, what are the age breakouts of people engaging with your Facebook page. And so you can see all that information on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, and you go in and understand your audience and then deliver the content that they want. Right now, live is hot, so doing live, whether it's Facebook Live, Instagram Live, things like that, it typically gets about 6 times the engagement that a regular video or social media, a regular text post would do, image post. Influencers, engaging the list of the help of influencers. I'm sure many of you saw the Kylie Jenner story about how she's at $900 million. Net worth. I don't know self-made is quite the right word. I don't want to take anything away from her because she was able to build almost $1 billion empire within 3 years, which is amazing. But a lot of that net worth actually comes from her being able to post on Instagram. She can make up to $1 million every single post that she does on Instagram. So she takes a picture of herself with some makeup in hand, and all of a sudden she gets $1 million from Maybelline just for making that one post. Why? Because she has the following to do it. She has however many millions of people that follow her, and when she posts something out, that audience is super engaged. They trust her. So it's really no different than celebrity endorsements have been around for years and years and years on TV and Super Bowl ads, things like that. It's bringing it into new age and showing it on social media. So local influencers can make an impact on your business. And then boosting, right? So back to basics, pay to play. And at the end of the day, engagement is what matters with social media. And so I want to talk about pay to play for a moment because, Mark talked about, good old buddy Mark talked about how Facebook is really going into trying to make people talk to people, right? But at the end of the day, we really know what the reasons they're making these changes, and it's because they want you to pay, right? When you signed up for Facebook, you did not pay any amount of money to have that Facebook profile. But of course, it's a business, and it's very well-run business. And so the way that they make money is they run ads. And so they really ultimately, in order to get any kind of reach or any kind of value out of social media moving forward, you're going to have to pay. I find this stat incredibly, unbelievably hard to imagine, but it is true. Currently, Google and Facebook, two businesses that did not exist 20 years ago, now have more advertising revenue than every newspaper, magazine, and radio station in the world combined. So if you take all the newspapers in France, you take all the radio stations in England, and you take all the Condé Nast magazine publications out of New York City, combine all their advertising revenue, two companies. Now, I'm not saying even all search engines, right? Not Bing and Google, and you combine all the Yahoo and all these and combine them together, or all the Instagram and Facebook. Just take Google and Facebook. Those two companies have more advertising revenue than those three platforms combined unfreaking believable. And so 50% of every ad dollar goes towards Google and Facebook today, and 83% of every new ad dollar goes to Google or Facebook. And so why is that? Well, it's because of the data, right? Google and Facebook, when you signed up for your profile, you didn't pay anything. What you're actually paying for is allowing them to watch what you're doing when you're on these social media platforms, right? So every like, comment, and share that you do, that's put into an advertising profile of you. However, when you leave Facebook and you go to a website, they can track that too, right? If it's in their advertising network, they can see when you go from, they overlay data. So like they'll know that Jeff Knauss's lease is going to be up within 6 months. They currently know that he drives Tesla. He's been to the Toyota website. He's been to the Ford website. He's been to the Honda website, maybe looking at a new car. And so they can tell that he's an auto intender because his lease is going to be up within the next 6 months, because they can overlay that data with your personal data. And then they can tell that you went to all these different websites, so they can know actually what kind of even cars that you may be interested in. It's amazing, right? The amount of data that you have at your fingertips to utilize to be really targeted in your approach is incredible. And so I'm going to walk you through currently what you can do on Facebook, and I'm going to put a caveat on that and talk about in a moment why I say currently. But at the moment, you are able to do everything from, I want to target people within a 10-mile radius of my location, or I want to geofence my competitor's location and serve ads to those folks. I want to serve the ads to 33-year-olds. I want to only talk to people that have a master's degree, that are women, that studied in the field of business or public relations or whatever the case may be, when they went to school, what school they went to, the different employers, what job titles do they currently have, what industries do they work in, what language do they speak, are they married, are they engaged? Think about targeting people that are engaged for wedding venues, right? Income, what's their income, what's their net worth, what kind of ethnicity are they in a certain generation, are they first-time home buyers, are they new parents? Do they have school-age children? Are they high school age? Are they big city moms? I love that one. That's so funny. Different types of moms. What kind of political leanings do they have? Do they have a new job? So you can utilize all this great targeting. Now, what I want to say is that with the Facebook scandal that came out with Cambridge Analytica, they're now changing the data that you can actually have access to. So it's going to become more limited than it had in the past, because they're trying to tighten up the data that they give to the advertisers. However, they still know all that information. And so what's going to happen is, any advertiser won't have access to the advertising data. However, we will be able to do some really cool ways to optimize for conversions, lookalike audiences, things like that. I'll talk about that in a moment. But there are ways to get around the new Facebook data for all those marketing folks that are out there that might be freaking out about it. There are ways to do it that we've developed internally that I'll talk a little bit about. But I want to give you this example because I think this is always the most relevant, easy to understand. That middle ad that you're seeing for Cool Sculpting is a protective shirt that you wear under a bulletproof vest that allows you to keep cool when you have a bulletproof vest. Because you can imagine when you're a military or you're a police officer, when you have a big heavy vest out, it can get really hot, right? And so wearing this can keep you cool under bulletproof vests. Very niche. So what we do is we target people that are in the military, people that are police officers, things like that, and we serve them this ad, right? And so it's different than an organic post where we're serving this ad right to people right in their news feed. It's not coming from our Facebook wall. We're not posting it from our page. What happens is it serves right inside their news feed. And so when they're buzzing through the pictures of their nieces and nephews and they're seeing something about news or politics or whatever, all of a sudden they see this ad. And so this ad, again, has only served a very specific population. And then you can see that 263 people liked it, loved it, shocked by it, whatever, 99 shares of the ad. And then we had 48 comments, things like shipped to my home yesterday. I wore it 12 hours in a high humidity state, and I have to tell you, it had a great difference. Another person said, I'm going to buy this summer nothing worse than a sticky shirt during work. Other people said, cheap if they work though, thanks Mike. And then a bunch of people were sharing it and tagging their friends saying, hey, check this out. because they probably knew somebody that was a police officer or military. Also, the last person, Greg, actually tagged his wife and said, hey, check this out. And then the wife said back, these are cool, we need to get you some. And so what's amazing about this is that all that engagement, all those likes, all those shares, they didn't cost the brand $1. It didn't cost them anything to serve these ads. The right people were seeing them, they're engaging, they're getting all these great testimonials. It didn't cost them a cent. The only time that it actually charges is when somebody says, I'm so interested in this, I'm actually going to push the shop now button. So if they click to go to your website, that's when you get charged, which is great because you're essentially only paying for really qualified leads. So no longer are you paying for just the impression, oh, people saw the ad, blah, blah, blah. But unless they take action, unless they do something, they go to your website to check out your product, you don't pay a cent, which is pretty awesome. Now, you're able to run ads in a lot of different ways. Sending people to your website, also lead gen ads. It actually serves an ad, and then you click on it, and then it fills in all the information because Facebook knows everything about us. Names, zip codes, emails, all those different things. It'll automatically port that information right into a form, and all the person needs to do is push submit. So you automatically get leads without the user having to do anything other than push the submit button, which is awesome. And by the way, they already clicked on it saying that they were interested. You can create custom audiences that look specific, and then lookalike audiences as well. So when I was talking about social media, you can create lookalike audiences where basically just ways to say, all right, well, if certain people took certain actions, I can then make an audience that looks very similar to the people that are actually taking action. So not just the people that are clicking to go to the website, people that are actually doing the thing that I want them to do once they get to my website. So it'll automatically optimize for people similar to that, and it's a great way to utilize the data within social media without looking at using it directly. So we're talking about Facebook. Instagram is owned by Facebook, as I mentioned, so you can use all the same great data on Instagram that you can on Facebook, and so it's a great delivery method. Twitter, not great for advertising purposes. They just haven't figured out a great delivery method, as well as their targeting is much more limited than Facebook or Instagram. Pinterest can be good based on the content that you're putting out there, but it has to be for the right campaign. YouTube, not only is it the most used quote-unquote social media, it is also the second most used search engine in the world. And guess who owns YouTube? Google. Right? So Google has a pretty big corner on the search market. You don't think of YouTube as a search engine, but what's cool is that, how do you find a video that you want? Well, you search for it. Hey, my garbage disposal is broke, which it is, and I have to get it fixed. So last night I was looking into why that might be, and I went to YouTube and I typed in rattling noise in garbage disposals. Now, what could have happened is if there was a clever plumber or someone that worked on garbage disposals in the area, they could serve ads to me when I went to go watch that video based on the context of that video, but also the searches that I'm doing. So obviously I have something wrong with my dishwasher, or my garbage disposal. They could say, hey, you have issues with your garbage disposal and you don't want to figure it out yourself? Call me, I'm Jeff, the garbage disposal guy, and I can help you right now. And they can actually click, if they're interested, they can click on that video and go right to the website. The other cool thing is, unless they watch the full 30 seconds, and on YouTube you can skip after the first 5 seconds of an ad when an ad starts, unless they watch the full 30 seconds, so they hang in there from 5 seconds to 30 seconds, you don't pay anything. So it's a really cool way to serve video ads to folks in very specific fashion. It's for people that are searching for specific things, so you know they have a need for your business or service. Great way to serve them ads, but unless they watch the entirety of your commercial, you don't pay anything. So they're going to be branded, they've paid attention, they saw your commercial because they had to watch at least the first 5 seconds, but unless they watch the full thing or they click to go to your website, you didn't pay anything for that. Snapchat is obviously for a younger audience, but it is aging a little bit. And it has some really cool ways that you can advertise, such as custom Snapchat filters, things like that, but definitely for a younger audience. And LinkedIn, definitely the best usage for that is for B2B, targeting professionals, targeting business owners, targeting more of a business-to-business marketing approach where you're targeting people in specific industries, things like that. But if you asked me 2 years ago if LinkedIn was a good advertising medium, I would say no, absolutely not. They have improved significantly over the past couple of years and are doing an incredible job now, and we're seeing quite a great ROI on LinkedIn for the right campaigns. So, I talked a lot about social media, but I'm going to talk about some other things now. in terms of digital. And obviously, your website is one of the most important things that you can be focused on in terms of digital marketing. The reason is because it's your 24-hour day, 7-day-a-week salesperson, right? Because your storefront, if you have a brick and mortar store that's open, it's probably only open from 8 to 5 on Monday through Friday, or maybe you're open on the weekends. But this is where, if I have a need, no matter what you do, if you're a bank, and I want to become a new member, if you are a car dealership, if you are a pizza restaurant, if I'm hungry for pizza and I want to know the best pizza place in the area, or if I want to become a new member at a bank or credit union, I want to be able to research that on my time, right? And so that's what websites really do, is it tells your story in a way that gets people engaged with your brand, and then ultimately what you wanted to do is get them to work down the funnel to become a customer of yours, right? And so one of the major things, obviously, is making sure that it's responsibly designed, meaning it shows up in the perfect way on every single device, no matter if it's an iPhone, a Samsung Galaxy, an iPad, a MacBook, a PC, or a really huge, monitor, right? No matter where the website is showing, you want to make sure that it responds. That's what responsibly designed means, is it responds to the screen size automatically. So it redevelops itself essentially. And so this is just an example of what we did. Midstate Spring, if you want to check out their website someday, it's pretty awesome. We met Midstate Spring, and it was a spring company right here in Syracuse. It's very cool. Not too many people in Syracuse know about it, but they are a spring manufacturer, and they make them right here in the U.S., and there's not a ton of people that actually do it. They've been doing it for 75 years. But how do you make a spring company sexy, right? So what we really focused in on is user experience and user interface and branding. So we created a really great brand for them, talking about the American-made spring. That was their old logo with a little spring in it. Now you can see the M that we created for them, the Midstate Spring underneath it, that can give a great user experience, and making a more efficient way for people that do land on their website to understand what they do. You can't see it here, but there's a really cool video that shows right when you land on the site that shows the spring process. That's how springs are made, and how many springs they've actually created, which is over 90 million. And you can see under the larger picture the way that it responds on mobile, the menu, the way that it is laid out, and then also on a tablet you can see the way that it's broken out there. So it's really anywhere you encounter them, no matter what device you're using, it's a great user experience, and that's what really matters. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about search engine optimization, or SEO. That's how you optimize your website to show up in the search results at the highest possible. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, people are searching for your company or your services that you offer, and you want your link to show up as high in Google as possible, because we know we're all lazy, right? And so the top 1, 2, 3 listings typically get about 60% of the traffic for any of those searches that are being done. So it's ultimately really important that your link is showing up very high in the organic search listings. There's really 2 major components, and I'm going to keep it very brief. There's a lot having to do with SEO, because the algorithm, the way that Google delivers these links, is changing literally every day. But you work on your on-page optimization, so that's everything from your title tags, your meta descriptions, your all images, and showing basically what you want Google to see when they crawl your website with the robots. I want to tell a story of what your website is all about. So making sure that your on-page optimization is clean and how you're talking about your website. The other is off-page optimization. So having links from high authoritative websites, linking from their website to your website, basically showing the correlation between a website that a lot of people go to, that engage with, that has what's called a high domain authority, and linking from their website to saying how you're the expert in springs or drone defense or whatever the case may be. That's the other aspect to search engine optimization. It's very complex, but there are some things you can do on your own. Then there are the ads, right? So when you Google something, there are the ads that are up on top, and then the organic listings. Search engine optimization really focuses on the organic listings, the listings that Google gives to you. Search engine marketing are the ads that are delivered above the organic listings. So you can actually pay to show up at the top. Now, about 60 to 70% of people will only click on the organic listings. They'll skip right over the ads. I'm one of those people, right? I only click on the organic listings because I understand the difference. However, what's cool about search engine marketing, similar to the social media ads that I showed, is that if you are a plumber and you're typing in plumbing, and your keyword that you're bidding on is plumbing emergency in Syracuse, people are typing that in, and you show up at the top in the ads, now you're AAA plumbing and you're showing up at the top of the ads. They know about AAA plumbing, but unless they click on your ad, unless they have a plumbing emergency, they Googled it, they put it in Google, they searched it, they click on your ad as compared to every other plumbing company in Syracuse. Unless they click on your ad, you don't pay a cent. So it's like getting a billboard on the highway. People are seeing your ad, they're seeing your brand, they're seeing all the stuff. They have an emergency, but unless they choose you over everything else, you don't pay anything. It's a great way to do it. And a lot of people assume, well, the people that pay the highest are going to show up the highest. Absolutely not true. The more relevant that you can make your ads, the more that Google will reward you with lower cost per clicks. So the amount of money that you pay for that click will be lowered because they want to give their users a great experience. And so the more relevant you can make your ads, and that's really what we do, is we optimize the advertising to ensure that your ads on a daily basis are getting touched, they're getting A/B tested, so that you're getting better and better quality scores, so that your cost per click is going down. Same with Facebook. Facebook wants to give a great user experience, as you saw. The more relevant you make those ads, the more that you optimize your advertising, the lower you're actually going to pay to serve those ads and ultimately get relevant traffic to your website. And so that optimization process, that touching the ads, testing the ads is really, really super important. Lots of different ways you can target people based on context of websites they visit, interests, behaviors, demographics, all kinds of things that you can serve ads for. And I'm sure you've all been on Amazon, you're looking at a pair of shoes, and the pair of shoes follows you everywhere you go. That's retargeting. So that's where people visit a website and they follow you around. What's cool about retargeting is that you don't need to educate people on who you are or what you're all about because they've already been to your website. What you're trying to do is you're trying to keep top of mind. So they've been to your website for some reason, they're doing some research, they've checked out your website, but ultimately only about 2% of people actually convert the first visit than when they come to your website. The first time they come to your website, only about 2%. So that 98% of people, you need to remind them and remind them and remind them that you're the place to go for whatever it was that they were looking for. I want to share with you a few case studies of how we utilize some of these tactics in order to deliver an ROI, because again, it's all about providing a really great return on investment. I don't care how many people are coming to your website. I don't care about all the other things. What matters is how are you getting returns. So this is just a campaign that we run every 2 times a year for Destiny. It's called the Fun Pass. I don't know if you've heard of it, but basically it's a way to get a discount of up to 50–55% on 4 different attractions inside of Destiny for one low price, right? So you get a discount on a bunch of different things like go-karting and having lunch at P.F. Chang's, getting a drink at Margaritaville, all these different things. And so what we do is we serve ads, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, search engine marketing, AdWords, and retargeting to serve ads to very specific people. Now, typically, we target people that are not in Syracuse for this promotion. As we know, if you live in Syracuse, you're probably going to go Destiny or you're not going to go Destiny, one or the other. But if you're in Rochester, you're Buffalo, Canada is a huge driver for us. We try to attract people from out of the market to come into Destiny with this really great promotion. And so we were able to track, and we had a 68% increase in sales year over year. We had an 830% return on investment, meaning every dollar they invested, they made $830 back. And we had 37,000 clicks to the website to buy a Fun Pass in 3 months. For all the folks that are in Syracuse, you probably followed the mayoral campaign this year. We were fortunate enough to run Ben Walsh's campaign, so we ran all of his digital marketing. And it was a huge component because I remember when I met Ben for the first time, we had coffee and I didn't know him, and he had reached out because through a mutual friend. We had coffee at Freedom Espresso down in Franklin, and he told me that he was going to be running for mayor. He told me about his background and his Republican family. He told me about the fact that he's running independent in a city where I think it's 56% registered Democrats, and Democrats always win. And I'm like, you basically have no chance then, right? And so we laughed about that, but ultimately I just loved his vision for Syracuse and his passion. And that's why we made the decision to support him and run his campaign, because it was he really had inspired me. And so we had a really great success with his campaign. A lot of what we did was targeting folks that were Spanish-speaking, Hispanic voters, minority folks, because he really wants what's best for everyone. But ultimately, he's a white guy, middle-aged white guy, right? So he wants everyone to understand how he connects with that audience in real time, right? And so delivering a very authentic message about how, he supports the LGBTQ community, how he wants to unite Syracuse. And this is just an ad that we showed that he had the support of Helen Hudson for the Syracuse Community Council. Together, we can make a difference. We can make a change. Together, we can unite Syracuse, right? And so it shows all the different supporters from Democrats and Republicans alike. And as an independent, that was huge. He actually won the election by 14% over a Democratic candidate and became the mayor of Syracuse in January of 2018. It was the first time an independent mayor had won the election in something like 100 years. So it was a really tremendous thing to be a part of, and we're really grateful for the experience. And you can see some of the results there. Running low on time, so I'm just going to briefly go through the YMCA. We ran a campaign to support their annual membership drive. We targeted people that were 55 plus, 18 to 34-year-olds, and mothers. And as you can see, each one of the targeting had its own messaging, right? And so when we talk to 55 plus, they want to see people that are like them. 18 to 34 are similar, and mothers, they want to see their family working out, and each one had a different message. And so what's cool is that on the one day that they held this membership, the only way that you could get this discounted membership was on one day. They had 632 people sign up. And so they had a 7,700% ROI on that one day. They invested something like $4,500 with us and made over $300,000 in gross revenue on that one day. So it was a pretty phenomenal campaign. There's just some examples of some designs that we've done in the past. This was strawberry tart beer for Saranac. They actually have a really great Belgian white that's coming out. It's going to be a 100-calorie beer. So for all those folks that like low-cal beers but tasty ones, there's going to be a cool beer coming out for that. All right, this is for Rochester Institute of Technology out in Rochester. They had a cool computer science IT program, so we did kind of a throwback to what computer science used to look like for the nerds like me who would be interested in this to catch their attention. And this was just an example of some SEO Athletics campaign that we ran for their Final Four run a few years ago. A lot of fun. We had no idea that we were going to win, and so we created a bunch of ads that were like, "Great job, team," but ultimately they ended up winning. So at 2 o'clock in the morning, we had to make ads that were talking about the biggest weekend ever, and so that was a lot of fun. So ultimately, that's I think we're going to do we're going to run into question and answers. But if you do have questions for me, you'd like to connect, this is the best way to stalk me. Follow me on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, all those different things. But my email is jeff@digitalhyve.com. And if you have questions, I'd love to talk to you offline as well. But remember, Hyve is spelled with a Y, so it's digitalhyve.com, and it's just jeff@digitalhyve.com. So thank you guys for your attention up to this point. And I think we're going to jump into some questions.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Yeah, we have a couple questions. First question is, can you please touch on the effectiveness of email marketing, and is this a part of your digital strategy?
Yeah, great question. So email marketing, there's a lot of different opinions about email marketing. I can tell you, more than likely, you signed up for this webinar from email marketing. I just want to give a quick shout out to the Business Journal. They do an incredible job of doing it with email marketing. They have a great community base of business leaders in Central New York, and they do a great email program. I think that email marketing is highly impactful. What I love about email marketing is that, if you're following the ICANN spam laws and regulations, that you are ensuring that your list is clean, which means that people have opted in to get information from you. And so I think that email marketing is highly impactful because basically it's the newsletter of today, right? And with social media losing so much organic reach, I think that email marketing is a great way to supplement talking to your current customers, talking to potential customers, and sending out emails on behalf of your company to give updates and things like that. Just as a quick plug, you can sign up for our email newsletter that we send out on digitalhyve.com to learn about digital tactics and what we're doing culturally and all that kind of stuff. But we do email marketing for sure. We also do email marketing for our clients. And I think it can be very impactful because ultimately, even though you're only going to have X open rate, you're only going to have X click-through rate. If you do a really good job with your email marketing, it can keep you top of mind and it can keep you engaged with your clientele.
Okay, we have another question. The ponds you referenced, are there others that we can capitalize on, and how large are they?
Yes, great question. There's a lot of different advertising mediums out there. What I've always found fascinating is that the stat, I believe, is like from the time that we wake up to the time that we go to bed, on average, we see 2,000 ads throughout the day. And that's everything from logos on a t-shirt to billboards and radio ads, TV ads, and social media ads, and everything in between. And so I mentioned those big ponds because ultimately those are the real gorillas in the room, everything from TV, newspaper, billboards. I don't think I mentioned billboards, but radio, magazines, trade publications. But there's everything. We do the digital marketing for Chinatown Furniture, and I don't know if for those of you in Syracuse, you've probably driven by one of his folks that he hires to put a sign out there and dance around. Jay tells me that works great, or else he would stop doing it because he's a really smart marketer. And so, there are a lot of different ways that you can advertise, but ultimately, I think the ponds that you saw, they're going to be the largest for you. Direct mail, I don't think that was in there, but that's still a pond of sorts. And it goes back to what I said earlier. I think that I truly do believe that all advertising mediums can work. I would never disparage any one medium over another. I just think each one has their own benefits, and you have to understand how much dollars you put behind them and the message that you want to put out there, considering the audience you're going to reach with those quote unquote ponds.
So to add on to that question about the ponds, how many ponds do you think can fit in those ponds? How many people? Excuse me, I can't read. Sorry. How many people do you think can fit into those ponds?
Well, so the pond is just ultimately a representation of how people are currently spending their time on a day-to-day basis. So it's a representation of and everybody's different. It's funny because and this may be a delineation from the question, and I hope it kind of answers it in a roundabout way. But it's funny because I talk to a lot of folks that are in marketing, and when I talk about all these different things, a person may be like, well, I don't want to do Instagram advertising because, I'm not on Instagram. This might be a business owner, an older business owner, they haven't caught on to Instagram, right? I want to caution everybody to not think about marketing in the way of how your consumer habits are. I want you to think about your perfect audience. Who is that perfect clientele that's a perfect customer of your business, and how do they spend their day? Are they on Instagram? Because that's a lot more important than if you are, right? Are they still reading a newspaper? Are they checking the yellow pages? I mean, there's still people that do that, I guess. And so, they check the yellow pages. And so, maybe there's some value there, but you just want to think, critically about how your audience is utilizing these different ponds. And I think that everyone in some way touches those ponds differently. So I'm a cord cutter. I don't have Spectrum or Verizon at the moment. I use YouTube TV, which I think is phenomenal. And YouTube TV is a new way to get your mediums and all that stuff. But that doesn't mean that the people that are clients of mine of Digital Hyve, they don't use Spectrum, right? They don't sign up for Verizon Fios. And so you just have to kind of think in that way. And I think that everyone is in all the ponds in some way, form, shape, or form. You just have to understand how you can utilize it for your business.
Okay, great. Another question. What is the next big thing?
Yeah, so I love talking about this because I'm a futurist at heart. I love thinking about where we're going to be. And I think that one really interesting trend is moving into, actually three. I think the three most dominant trends that we're moving into, one is voice search. And I know that Google, Amazon, all the different search engines, YouTube, they're moving into a voice search strategy, or they better be. Because as the Internet of Things, which is just a way of saying all the different connected devices that we have, everything from your temperature controls at home to your lights to your TVs and everything else, we are now just talking to these items, telling them what we want rather than typing it in, right? And I think that in 10 years, 20 years, we're going to be thinking about typing in things is very antiquated. We're just going to talk naturally and things will happen. And so understanding how voice search are going to change things, I think is going to be important. I think augmented reality and virtual reality are also going to be significantly changing things. So if you think about, if you're a credit union, think about how people want to explore your bank and see the inside of your different things, how you're going to be banking with augmented reality and virtual reality becoming so invasive into our culture. Or if you're a higher education institute, people won't want to drive all the way to see your campus. They're going to want to put on a headset and be able to walk around your campus and engage with avatars that look just like other people and say, hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm from Minneapolis. I'm from Syracuse. And so that's, I think, going to be part of the future moving forward.
Next question. Would you say traditional advertising is dying?
I think dying is the wrong word. You know, and I think that it's probably overused in terms of like, you know, how people are saying, well, newspapers are dying, radio is dying, TV is dying. They're evolving, right? And so just like anything else, I think that let's talk about, you know, TV, right? And it's my background. I think that less and less people are have a cable subscription, as I kind of mentioned. I think less and less people are sitting down and watching television at 8 o'clock on Thursday night because that's when their program is on. I think that they're DVRing it or they're watching it in live time online. And so I think that, you know, obviously broadcasters are smart enough to understand that shift in consumer habits, and they will adapt and find ways to deliver their programming in different ways. When people want it, where people want it, everything is about on demand. We don't want to wait for anything anymore. And so I think that all of these mediums are less about dying. Some may die. Some platforms may go away completely, but I think the smart ones are evolving, and I think most of these platforms are smart enough.
Okay, next question. If you had to compare the potential clients in those ponds, going back to the pond question. So if you had to compare the potential clients in those ponds, what type of fish would you say they represent?
Can you say that again?
If you had to compare the potential clients in those ponds, what type of fish would you say they represent?
Oh man, that's a really good question.
Sharks.
Yeah, right. Sharks, bass fish. I don't know. I would say, you know, the types of fish are. At the end of the day, the fish are our consumers, right? And so if you want to think about it in the way of like, what does the pond represent? Well, you know, the Snapchat pond is probably very young fish, right? 18 to 34-year-old fish that are swimming around, and they have different habits than maybe the, you know, the television pond, and they may be, you know, the older demographic fish that are swimming around that have different habits than that 18 to 34. And so really the ponds are just a representation of how consumers are consuming these platforms, and the habits and the ways that they want to go about their life, and how we can deliver our messages to integrate with their daily lifestyle routines, right? And so, you know, your TV ad should probably be different than your YouTube ad even, right? Even though that's maybe the same 30-second commercial, you may want to talk to a TV audience different than you want to talk to a YouTube audience or a Facebook audience or whatever audience, because those people that you're targeting on social media will be different and probably more specific than you are when you're doing a broad-based reach campaign on television. So I think that would be.
Okay. Do you have any in-person local training events for marketing directors?
Interesting. We are actually going to be launching a seminar coming up here we believe in the fall, for folks like marketing directors and owners of business, anybody that's interested in marketing, just to give kind of a 101, 102 seminar on how all these digital marketing tactics and platforms can be used in a little bit of a deeper level. This was very, very high level, but we plan on doing a seminar type event for that. So stay tuned. Certainly, like I said, connect with me, and if you're interested in that, I can certainly put you on our list for when we launch that. But yes, the answer is yes, we will be doing some training.
Okay, just a couple questions left, because time is getting short. Let's see. For the sake of the health of the health of our city, are you willing to work with some nonprofits pro bono? Is their vision for our community, is it the same?
I love it. Putting me on the spot. Thanks a lot, guys. Putting me on the spot. So
take it offline.
At the end, at the end of the day, with myself being a part of so many nonprofits, and the company as a whole is very civic-minded. The majority of our folks are involved in a nonprofit in some way. We are very, if you know Digital Hyve, you can see, and just go to our Instagram, you'll see that we are very involved with the community. And so what I would say is that, without a doubt, you know, just to put this out there, we will meet with anyone to talk about marketing strategy for free, in a way that we are not trying to sell you anything. We are, as I mentioned, we have grown very quickly, and by the way, we have almost no sales team on our staff. We really just, a lot of our growth, the majority of our growth has been organic, meaning that a lot of it's been word of mouth, referrals, things like that. And so the way that we've done that, I believe, is we've just put a lot of education out there. So if anyone would like to chat, nonprofits or otherwise, would like to chat about how they can make their marketing more efficient, we're always willing to have that conversation, and it will never be a, hey, you should do this because we're trying to sell Digital Hyve. I will give you real advice based on what is the best thing to do for your for-profit or nonprofit company. And I will say whoever asked the question is probably part of a nonprofit, and I appreciate all that you do because I know how hard it is to make as big of an impact as you have as a nonprofit without the revenue to support it. So.
All right, last question, and then we'll have to end the webinar. How did you get so knowledgeable about the broadcast industry?
I spent 8 years in broadcast TV. I was account executive in Rochester at an ABC and CW affiliate for 5 of those years, and then I was actually the local sales manager at CNY Central, the NBC, CBS, and CW affiliates here in Syracuse for 3 years. So that's how I know about broadcast and other mediums in general. It was my job to understand radio and billboards and newspapers and all the other forms of traditional media. So that's how I got my knowledge there. I was fortunate enough to work with great mentors like Amy Collins and Chris Geiger and Chuck Salmon, a bunch of people.
So we do have more questions, but I think maybe offline you can go back in and answer these people directly.
Sure.
Time is running out.
Sure. Yeah.
I'd just like to finish up this webinar by thanking Jeff Knauss from Digital Hyve, and a special thank you to Visual Technologies for providing the technical support this morning. One of the questions was about receiving the presentation. Yes, we will be sending out the presentation to everybody in the next few days. Also, at the end of the webinar, you will be receiving a brief survey. And we really hope that this content was informative for everybody. We appreciate you taking the time out of your workday this morning, and we hope you'll enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.